KSI posts a theory. YouTube groups, he reckons, are bad for growth. They kill growth. They turn it into a monopoly. He types that out with his name on it 2 months after walking away from the biggest YouTube group in the country. And the internet does not let it sit for a single second. For a bloke who didn't want anything to do with the Sidemen, he sure does keep waffling on about the Sidemen. Left the Sidemen to outperform the Sidemen. Now he's trying to bury the Sidemen. What is wrong with this dude? And then the knockout. A picture, 4 words, 51,000 likes. KSI really sold his soul. That's the reaction to a community post that he chose to publish himself. And nobody made him look like this. The group he's subtweeting is still posting every single week completely fine while he sits at home writing essays about why the format's the problem. So by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why they reacted the way they did. Because KSI didn't get humbled by the Sidemen. Not by the fans, not by some rival. He got humbled by KSI, one post at a time. The Sidemen, 7 British YouTubers who've made videos together since 2013, sat on well over 100 million combined subscribers, a Netflix show, a restaurant chain, charity matches that break records. One of the most successful things anyone has ever built on this website. And KSI JJ was the biggest name in it, the one who actually crossed over boxing, music, a literal judging chair on Britain's Got Talent. If someone who has never watched a YouTube video in their life knows one Sideman, it's him. He had all of that, plus a solo career the size of most people's entire dream. And on the 31st of May, 2026, he left. On the 31st of May, he posted this.
This is honestly the hardest video I've ever had to make in my life. I've gone back and forth on this decision for a very long time. I've spent months trying to figure out what the right thing to do is. But after a lot of thought, I have decided that I will no longer be doing Sidemen.
Burnout, health, balance, family, and honestly, fair enough. Burnout is real, and I'm not about to tell a multi-millionaire he's not allowed to be tired. The Sidemen put out a response the same day, said it caught them completely off guard, wished him well. Vic posted, "Sadly, this isn't a prank. We wish JJ all the best." About as clean a breakup as this space ever produces. So that's the story. Guy's running on empty, takes a step back. Everyone's a little sad, but supportive. Lovely, except that is not where it stayed. Because while the announcement was all about balance, a different clip started doing the rounds. From Sidecast, the Sidemen's own podcast, where he'd said this.
Goal. So like for me, I mentioned to the boys,
you're setting pace on camera right now.
Yeah, but I mentioned to the Sidemen boys, I'm going to get more subscribers than Sidemen. And I'm also going to get more views than Sidemen. So I've got more views than Sidemen in a month. So now I just need to get more subscribers. Yeah. And then it's just...
So he sat on their podcast and told them to their faces that he was going to get more subscribers and more views than the group, that he wanted to do what Mr. Beast does, but bigger, and then he left. Can a person want a break and want to beat everyone they know at the same time? Sure. People are complicated, but you can see why. The moment that clip landed next to a video about needing to slow down, the tab ran the whole thing under KSI dragged for disloyalty and ego, and everyone started holding the two things up to the light. And one of them said something back. On X, Vicstar looked at the bragging and left it at one word, charming. And KSI's answer to that was just speaking facts. Now, for the record, Vic has gone out of his way to defend KSI as a person, so this was never the Sidemen declaring war. It was one of them raising an eyebrow at the bragging, and KSI deciding the correct move was to lean further in, which in its own quiet way tells you plenty. And through all of this, the Sidemen just kept going. The Sunday videos did not miss a week, shows on Netflix, a restaurant chain opening new sites across the country. The group that was supposedly the thing holding the biggest creator in it back from his potential, carrying on perfectly well without him. Not struggling, not scrambling, fine. And then the numbers turned up. His solo views dropped. His subscriber count started going backwards. The exact wrong direction for a man who just promised to overtake everyone he'd ever worked with. Vic reacted to that on camera too. And KSI's message to the people watching it happen was 3 words. Trust the process. Trust the process. The guy who said he'd pull more subs and more views than the entire Sidemen main channel, asking the audience to trust the process while the subs walked out the door and the Sidemen posted like nothing had happened. And here's the thing, it clearly got to him, because around all of this, KSI actually admitted it.
Expected it would be, or is it worse?
I knew
it.
I knew it would be bad.
Yeah.
But holy fuck. Holy. Bro, I was not ready for the heat.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I was going nuts in my burner, bro. Fuck yeah.
No, bro, it was bad, bro. I was there like in all corners of the internet.
Yeah.
I was getting destroyed. I was there like, man, this.
You know,
That part of me thinking like, shit, maybe I should go back.
The backlash got so loud that the man who said he'd outgrow the entire group was, by his own account, thinking about walking straight back into it. And then came the cryptic posts, something about people trying to put him down to humble him. Those ones are gone now. By the way, at some point, he quietly wiped his whole X account. So he had two roads out of this: go quiet or double down. And instead of going quiet, he opened YouTube and he typed this. And then, end of July, 2 months out, numbers still sliding, Sidemen still running, the community post. YouTube groups are bad for growth. They kill growth. They turn it into a monopoly. I read it twice, because this is a man who spent over a decade inside the most successful YouTube group in the country, who used the platform that group handed him to become a boxer and a musician and a television judge, telling you now that groups are structurally bad for growth. As the group he left thrives, as his own numbers fall, and you don't even need me for what comes next. You can just go and read the replies. And the pylon from the open was only the start of it. Once people got going, it settled into lanes. There was the scoreboard lane, people just doing the maths out loud. He left a group, his views dropped, and theirs didn't. What is he even waffling about? The numbers on your channel have been shit since you left. Then the one that didn't even reach for a joke. Sometimes you have to know when to retire as a content creator. 45,000 people agreed with that one. And then the ones who were just done with it. One of them summed the whole thing up. KSI has to let this go. Nobody cares anymore. He's flopping without his mates, and he knows it. So now he's taking shots at groups with, and I quote, no shade, for what? A discussion? And someone in there made the genuinely smart point that going on the Sidemen channel is one of the single biggest growth engines a UK creator can get. That the group's content drags everyone in it further than they'd ever reach on their own. And KSI walked away from that engine on purpose and then posted a theory about how groups kill growth. And that sold his soul post from the very top, that ended up the single most liked take of the whole wave. People looked at a community post about monopolies and decided soul selling was the only fair verdict. I didn't write a word of it. The internet did. Around the same time, he sat down on the Fellas podcast, Cal Freezy and Chip, episode 293, and talked the whole thing through properly.
I was like, yeah.
Anywhere and everywhere in the street.
You're not going to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am happy for the boys. Like, if anything, I feel like they're performing better without me.
Bro, you know you left. They went, did America trip. They're killing it. They're killing it. Shout out.
And it's a different KSI than the announcement video. Not scripted, not managed, just talking to mates. You can hear the gap between the clean official reason and the messier real one. Not because he's lying, because the real version was never going to fit inside a farewell video. And that sold his soul line isn't people being dramatic. Look at what the channel actually became. One girl choosing a boyfriend from 8 virgins, 5 nerds versus 1 supermodel. Make us laugh, win $1,000. Somebody put it perfectly. How are these ideas even getting approved with the size of team KSI has? The titles don't make sense. The thumbnails don't make sense. The goal was to beat Mr. Beast. The goal was more views than the main channel. And the content started to look like a man reverse engineering a formula rather than a man making videos. It stops feeling like a person and starts feeling like a strategy. And audiences can always smell a strategy. And to be clear, because it matters, KSI is not finished. He's 32. Prime is a global brand. He's headlined arenas, sold out fights, sat on primetime television. Most creators will never touch a fraction of that. This was never a downfall. What it was a very specific, very public humbling. He called his shot, left, missed, and then explained the miss instead of taking it. Well, the entire internet watched him do it. That's the deserved. Not the end of KSI, just KSI for once, losing the exchange. And that's the part that gets me. Nobody did this to him, not the Sidemen, not the haters, not a rival. He made the prediction, he left, he watched it not happen. And then he wrote the theory about why it was never really his fault in the first place. Every step of it, his own words, his own posts, his own timing. He could have just taken the break he said he needed, made good stuff, let the numbers come back around quietly and proved everyone wrong the boring way. Instead, he kept talking about the group he'd left while insisting he was over the group he'd left. He explained his numbers instead of fixing them. He wrote about monopolies instead of beating anybody. He didn't need a villain. He just needed to stop posting. And he couldn't. So I genuinely want to know what you think. Was leaving the Sidemen the biggest mistake of KSI's career? Or is this just the messy middle and the process really does need trusting? Let me know in the comments. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.